Um, I like to go into what my results were in the beginning. My system of how I basically put the sabers together in the correct order, behind the hilt, in front of the hilt, was based off of this in Premiere Pro, where I had certain elements put on top of each other in layers, which this worked, but the problem is with After Effects, their effect never really gave me the best end result. As you can see, the colors, while it is pixelated on this screen, when I went to green screen them in Premiere Pro, they always didn't have this right color effect. Sure, when I did this layering, how I put the sabers in place were in the correct order, of course, but it wasn't entirely the way I wanted it to look. That's when this comes in. You can see that here we not only have the sabers correct in color, but we also have them in the correct order. A little bit though. As you can see here in After Effects, we're in the After Effects After Effects project of this. You can see now the saber is in front, which is fine, of course. Nothing is wrong with that. The difference between these two is now we're working a little bit more into After Effects, and I'll explain why. In the past, when I was trying to get the effect, the right color in Premiere Pro, I would try and green screen it by pretty much doing it like a blue screen. Though every time I did that, I did not get the right color. I know I'm repeating myself twice, but this is kind of important. As you can see here in Premiere Pro, the layering in here is a lot less and simpler in here. And I'll also explain more about that too. Let's go back though into After Effects. What I did that's pretty much similarly the same as this is I have two files that are the same variant. I have two files that are below, and I have two files that are above. Here's the real kicker. In the past, what I tried to do to bypass adding a green screen is to export our Adobe After Effects file into Premiere Pro, which on any normal day would work, except in this case, we have a plugin called Sabers, and that plugin only works for After Effects. So when we were trying to do After Effects into Premiere Pro, of course it won't work because, well, the plugin only works for After Effects. So instead, I did the reversal. If you go to File, and this is in After Effects, if you go to File, and if you go to Import Adobe Premiere Pro Project, if you go to File and you say Adobe Dynamic Link, and then you click onto Import Premiere Pro Project. Do not do New Premiere Pro Sequence. Do Import Premiere Pro Sequence. What happens is this file is linked to this in Premiere Pro. So I don't really, I could demonstrate it, but what happens is let's say I want to hide a layer. Once you save it in Premiere Pro, the changes will display in After Effects. And all you have to do is it will show up as a dynamic link layer, and then you just click and drag it down to the bottom. Right now this is the final version, and I don't know if this is much as a tutorial, but the thought process behind it is what I think is going to save me a lot of slides just by talking about it. Besides that, you'll see here that you have your dynamic file, and it pretty much syncs up with whatever goes on into Premiere Pro. Right now it's not synced up because this is an older saved version. So every time you save the Premiere Pro project, whatever layers that you want to hide or show, it will display itself into here. Before we used to do everything into Premiere Pro, and that kind of worked except of that green screen. This time though, we're working with a little bit more with After Effects now that we got that dynamic link in there. You'll see that the dynamic link is wedged in the middle between the above layers and the below layers of the Saber VFX. You also see that on frame 48, the Saber is in front. This is fine, and I'll explain why this is fine. Before, what we did is we basically rendered these hilts separate. Green screening for any Adobe Animate file works fine in Premiere Pro, which is what we have here. If we can hide this layer, you'll see that all the hilts that are going to go above the visual effects show up. So see how the Saber is now in front. Because we have that green screen hilt by itself, and it's showing above whatever exported from Adobe After Effects. Once you turn that on, now it shows up front. And same goes for the SoundPod Saber. In After Effects, let's see, what frame was that? Frame 60. If we go to frame 60, you'll see that the Saber is placed up front. But now, when you go into here, and you have now the SP Saber hilt on top, being that we green screened it, and we have it above that layer, now it shows up. This right here is our After Effects final export. And you'll even see more that our backgrounds only is in here, as it shows up behind all of this right here. So let's talk about how we got the Sabers above and below. And this has to involve largely with opacity keyframing. Let's look at the AP Saber layers first. As you can see here, the Saber needs to come in front, not behind the AirPods. To do this, we'll use opacity keyframing, aka the buddy system. As you can see here, the below layer is at 100% opacity, while the above layer is at 0% opacity. When we go one frame in front, now you'll see that the below layer is at 0% opacity, and now the AP Saber above layer is at 100% opacity. What we did here is we pretty much turned off and on two different layers while the frame changes. See, we need the Saber now below, and now on frame 46, now we need the Saber VFX above. So this is how we can get the Saber effects to show up above the character or below the character by pretty much duplicating our visual effects, being that the above and below layer is the same, but then opacity keyframing to turn on where the position, how it should be shown in the video. This is how we pretty much can show how to get the visual effects of the Saber above or below. And then we can show more examples. Here, now we need the Saber behind, not above anymore. So on frame 52, Saber AP above, that's at 100%. Saber AP below, that's at 0%. But now we need the Saber behind. Now you can see on frame 53, right here in the opacity, Saber below layer is at 100%, and Saber above layer is at 0%. And you can do this the same for whatever we need it as. Same goes here for the SP Saber. Just another example here. Let's show SP. Okay, so here you can see it's at 100% because we want to show below. Next frame, it's now 100% on the above layer of this. So it just switches on or off depending on the position, especially with our dynamic link Premiere Pro sequence being in between. Once you get everything pretty much set up, again, it's totally okay and normal in Adobe After Effects to see the saber in front of the hilt, because that's where this layer comes in. That's where our green screen hilts separate come in, because then we can layer that above in Premiere Pro. This is also kind of nice because After Effects, I think, does a great job with keyframing, and Premiere Pro works great when trying to import a Premiere Pro project into After Effects. So that's where this dynamic link thing comes in. And then what I did is I pretty much exported all this, including the backgrounds layer. That's why you see this layer right here. And then I just layer the saber hilts when they need to be positioned. So again, all of this kind of works together, and it just depends on how you layer it. You have to create 2 below layers, 2 above layers, indicating for each character, each saber visual effects, and the right in between your Premiere Pro project. Whatever you do in the Premiere Pro project, save it, and all the changes will be over here, which you can view. Other than that, that pretty much explains how we correctly got the right color and positioning of the saber visual effects to match this scene. So I just wanted to create a video, and hopefully this explains a little bit better about what I'm trying to do.